Hey there! If you're feeling like an endless failure and the ticking clock is closing in on your shot at success, then today's video is just the thing you need. Ever heard of Colonel Sanders? This man faced more setbacks than you can imagine, but he never threw in the towel. From a struggling entrepreneur to the brains behind one of the world's biggest fast food empires, his journey is a lesson in turning setbacks into stepping stones. It's a reminder that it's never too late and age is just a number. So kick back and join me as we dive into Colonel Sanders' life and learn how he bounced back against all odds. If you're up for more inspiring stories like this, hit that subscribe button. Harland David Sanders, born September 9, 1890 in Indiana, had an early start in the kitchen, learning to cook after his father's passing when he was just 6. Cooking just came naturally to him, but back then, he never really gave it much thought. In his early teens, he'd often skip school and venture out on his own. He even stretched the truth about his age to join the United States Army, ultimately earning an honorable discharge in February 1907. At 16, Sanders' fascination turned to railroads, leading him to a job in Alabama where he'd empty the ash pans for engines. The railroad proved a promising path for young Harland. He advanced through various roles on the Northern Alabama Railroad, and it was here that he met his future wife, Josephine. They tied the knot on June 15, 1909, in Jasper, Alabama, and later went on to have 3 children. Afterward, he landed a gig as a fireman with the Illinois Central Railroad, which led to a relocation to Jackson, Tennessee. Regrettably, his temper got the better of him, and he ended up being let go due to allegations of insubordination. The young colonel had quite the journey thereafter. His 20s and 30s were a roller coaster of jobs that just didn't stick, and business ventures that fell flat. He even tried his hand at law through correspondence courses at LaSalle Extension University, but a courtroom brawl with his own client put an end to that. At 26, they packed up and headed to Jeffersonville. He gave selling life insurance a shot with Prudential, but that didn't pan out either. Some of it was in fact his fault, you see. He faced setbacks because of stubbornness, impatience, and a bit of a fiery attitude. By the time he hit 30, Sanders had set up a ferry boat company, sailing between Jeffersonville and Louisville on the Ohio River. It was a shining moment for him, a chance at a real success story. But then came a curveball. A nearby bridge stole the spotlight, making his ferry service obsolete. In a gutsy move, Sanders traded his ferry boat company shares for cash and put it into a venture making acetylene lamps. But even that didn't pan out, as another company, Delco, rolled out an electric lamp on credit, and the whole country was buzzing about electric lighting. Undeterred, Sanders packed up and headed to Winchester, Kentucky, joining the ranks of the Michelin Tire Company as a salesman. He hoped this would be the place to finally put down roots and build a solid career. But fate wasn't done with its twist. In 1924, Michelin shut down its New Jersey plant, leaving Sanders jobless yet again at the age of 34. Failures seemed to be just bumps in the road for Sanders. They never dimmed his passion for hard work. He once said, quote, "I only have 2 rules. Do all you can and do the best you can." In 1927, he found himself running a Standard Oil gas station in Nicholasville, Kentucky. Unfortunately, the Great Depression hit hard, and by 1930, Sanders had to close up shop. The funny thing is that the service station, despite its end, turned out to be a turning point. Shell Oil Company offered Sanders a rent-free spot in North Corbin, Kentucky in 1930, just asking for a cut of the sales. That's when the light bulb went off. He started dishing out chicken, a country ham, and steaks to truck drivers, looking to make a little extra cash. Back then, he didn't have a full-fledged restaurant. He'd serve customers right at a table in the back of the service station. It was a humble start, but little did he know, it was the spark of something much bigger. By 1937, Sanders had outgrown his tiny one-table eatery and upgraded it to a proper restaurant with enough space for 142 hungry guests. It was here that he revolutionized commercial chicken preparation. He introduced pressure frying, a genius blend of pressure cooking and pan frying that sealed in the flavors and sped up service. Then, in July 1939, Sanders made a move and acquired a motel in Asheville, North Carolina. But life, it seemed, had other plans. Just a few months later, in November 1939, a devastating fire wiped out his motel and restaurant. Did Sanders throw in the towel? Not a chance. The man was made of steel. He saw this setback as an opportunity. He rolled up his sleeves, rebuilt the motel and restaurant, and not only that, he made them even bigger and better. All the while, he kept perfecting his pressure frying technique for that mouth-watering chicken. If only life played out perfectly, right? But just around the corner, another challenge awaited. In December 1941, with gas rationed and tourism drying up, Sanders had to shut down his Asheville motel. Then, in 1947, Sanders and his first wife, Josephine, went their separate ways. He then found love again and married his second wife, Claudia, in 1949. Things took another turn in 1956 when a new highway diverted traffic away from his service station. Sanders, who had banked on the success of his restaurant, found himself with no choice but to sell it at the age of 65. By this point, many people might have called it quits and sought for a quieter life, but not Sanders. With just a modest $105 a month Social Security check and entering his twilight years at 65, he geared up to give his cooking business one final push for success. In 1956, the Colonel hit the road on a quest to find franchisees, armed with his secret spice blend and patented pressure cooking technique. And you know what? It finally caught fire, marking one of his most lucrative ventures so far. Sanders personally shared his culinary secrets with kitchen staff, and restaurants all over paid him a nickel for every piece of chicken they sold. Might sound small, but just wait for what's coming. In 1959, Sanders and Claudia unveiled a brand new restaurant and set up their company headquarters in Shelbyville. Let me tell you, it wasn't all smooth sailing. Even at his age, he poured in dedication and hard work. There were nights he'd sleep in the back of his car. He'd keep dropping by restaurants, whip up his chicken, and if the staff loved it, he'd dive into negotiations for franchise rights. The franchise model took off like wildfire. KFC, short for Kentucky Fried Chicken, was a pioneer in taking fast food globally. By the time he was 73, Sanders had a whopping 600 locations, including franchises abroad in Canada, the UK, Mexico, and Jamaica. As the business was reaching new heights, the Colonel recognized it was time for a new chapter. In 1964, he handed over the reins, selling the business to investors for a cool $2 million. Just 2 years down the line, they decided to take it public. That move set the stage for KFC's global expansion and its place as an iconic fast food chain. As of now, there are roughly 20,000 KFC outlets spread across 118 countries. Now, that's one heck of a success story. Here's a vital takeaway from this amazing story. Never, ever let go of your dreams. Those who quit seldom reach their goals. The Colonel faced setbacks, some of his own making, and could have wallowed in self-pity his whole life. But he never let failures or age define him. Feel like you're too late to chase your dreams or launch that business? Think again. Let his story be a guiding light, showing the power of relentless determination and the drive to make dreams a reality. You got it in you too. Don't forget to pass along this video to your family and friends if it resonates with you. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one.